Hello, everyone. Ronnie Rantz here alongside Joel Davis. Happy New Year 2017 here in the LeBaire Studios in Baton Rouge. Hope you rang in the new year in a fun way. It's not Doug Flutie. That is Joel Davis. Good to see you. I might mess up and go, show the back. Yeah, that's the old Boston College Heisman Trophy winner. Why do you have that jersey on, Joel? I mean, he won it, 32 years ago, I think it was?
Yeah, it's about the underdog, Ron. And I figured I should support the underdog throughout the bowl season. The Fludester, he was just an underdog his whole career.
5'9", whatever.
5'7".
5'7"? For real?
5'7". I know Flutie. He's 5'7", Ron. I mean, the dude's 5'8" max. Cleats, 5'8".
Let me Google that.
And Google it. I'm just letting you know how else would you be called a flake? I mean, 5'9" dudes aren't flakes. Flutie was a little bitty 5'8" Flutie flake. And he was an underdog, Ron, and I like an underdog. I pull for the underdog. And I will be pulling for the underdog throughout the entire bowl season. It doesn't matter who's playing. The underdog, besides LSU, is my team.
What's that say?
Let's see.
Right there.
See. And you don't think that that's exaggerated a little bit?
This is 5'10". Just want you to know. So usually people lie like an inch. So I said 5'9", and you said 5'7". Just make sure. Just want to make sure.
Is that with or without cleats, Ron?
5'10".
Is that with or without cleats?
A cleat. Cleat's an inch.
Plus the sole.
Oh my God!
And then the rubber insert, Ron.
Yeah, what, he's wearing high tops?
I'm telling you, in the shower, that dude's 5'8".
He's got the old Boots Garland strength shoe on.
Yes, he does. The thing in the front. Yeah. Probably the hairiest 5'8" guy you'll ever meet.
Okay, this is more Doug Flutie talk on this show than we had.
You asked me why I was wearing it.
I know why you're wearing the jersey.
I told you.
It's kind of cool, though. It's kind of cool.
Underdog. By the way, my son got me this for my birthday.
Because you're a huge Doug Flutie fan.
I think he got it because
he fell off the truck somewhere. I
think he ordered something on Amazon and the wrong one came.
Right.
And when he handed it to me, I'm like, Flutie? Right. And my son's, he's a little bit of a short guy.
He played quarterback. You played flag football quarterback. You had something in common.
Nothing in common, except for the underdog thing. But my son, he gave it to me, and I was like, Flutie? And he goes, well, you used to call me Flutie, and I thought it would be like...
Did you really?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, right. He totally made that up.
I think he made that up.
That's so funny.
But my son remembers everything, so I might have said it once or twice.
All right, he's Joel Davis. I'm Ronnie Rantz. Happy New Year to everybody. A lot to get to on the show today.
You like the lid? I got the lid going. I got the lid.
You mean like the 3 weeks past due for a haircut look?
What are you talking about? This is a great look for me. You don't like it?
Each his own. To each his own. Okay. Everybody has their own taste. If the people on TV could see what's going on in the back, they might feel differently.
What's going on in the back?
It's a lot of things.
I turned around and showed Flutie.
Yeah.
That didn't show the back?
Yeah, I guess. We weren't looking at the back. The LSU Tigers, they win in dominating fashion, beat Louisville in dominating fashion since the last time we taped the show. Just held Louisville to 9 points, no touchdowns. How much? 8 sacks, the Heisman Trophy winner. But it wasn't a surprise to me. I put my money where my mouth was at the window in Vegas. I thought LSU would dominate this game. They were only a 3.5-point favorite. But I looked at it all year long and thought, well, you got Houston, who did the same thing. Mm-hmm. They sacked them 10, 11 times and held them to 10 points. And Kentucky corralled them and won the last game of the year on their place. Kentucky's not a good team. I just thought that if they could look that poor against teams that I knew LSU defense was better than, that I just didn't think LSU would have any trouble. They probably had an easier time than I even envisioned. I mean, they just absolutely dominated. So we'll talk a little bit about LSU. The NFL season just wrapped up, and I'm surprised you didn't go all black, although you've done that a lot because the shoe's starting to drop.
To me, it's not Black Monday. I mean, I'm excited. What's the opposite of black?
White.
It's White Monday.
Yeah. Why are you excited?
Because the Saints didn't win another game to get a meaningless game and to be drafting at like number 18.
Yeah, they're at 11 now. They finished 7-9. They have the 11th pick.
Which takes you out of the blue chip prospect where that gives you an opportunity to make a mistake. Right now, they shouldn't miss at 11. You shouldn't miss on a prospect at 11. If you've done your homework, you shouldn't miss with a prospect at 11. You can miss at 16, 17, 18. Somebody falls to you. You think that's guy. Why is he following us? He's high on our board. We're going with the guy that's dropped. Well, maybe he dropped for a reason. So there's more room for error at 16, and they're not one player away, but one player can sure in hell help.
Everybody seems to think that player is a defensive end or a cornerback. Everybody's saying
I'm going to tell you right now, I know who it's going to be.
Here we go. This is great. This is great. You
want to save it?
Yeah. No. Give it to me. Just give it to me. Let the people know. Give them an early New Year's Eve present. New Year's Day present.
I think it's going to be Tim Williams, right here out of Baton Rouge, ULAB, Alabama prospect, defensive end. I think he fits what you're looking for. You're looking for an edge rush. You're looking for a difference. You're looking for an impact player. I don't think you can get a player that's not an impact player at 11. I think you have to go impact. They got Andres Pete. He's not necessarily an impact player, is he? He's a good player. He's going to be a great player. He's going to be around for a long time, but he's going to be a guard next year. You got Michael Thomas in the second round. He's been an impact player. You got to get a guy that's going to can change a game for you this year at 11. And I think Tim Williams can change a game. I like Derek Barnett out of Tennessee, the defensive end, and he's a phenomenal player. He's one of the best defensive ends in the SEC. Got more sacks against other SEC opponents than any other defensive end that's coming out. He can play the run very well, but he's a lot like Cam Jordan. Very much like Cam Jordan. I think he's the same type of player. Tim Williams can wreck a game. That's the guy. Like Vic Beasley can wreck a game. You need a game wrecker, Ron.
We're going to go with the Joel. Put it down in your phone. Joel Davis.
Tim Williams.
Tim Williams, U-High Cub, who burned LSU, went to Alabama.
He didn't burn New Orleans.
But here's the thing about Joel Davis's predictions.
They don't come back?
They're not necessarily always accurate. You remember just here on this show about 3 weeks ago?
What's that?
We sat here on Sports Shorts, and you said, you made your pre-Christmas prediction with the Saints had 3 games left to play.
Yeah.
You had some strong opinions, and we're going to roll that tape right now. Here's Joel Davis just 3 weeks ago, Mr. Saints expert, telling us what's going to happen.
What's going to happen? Not 3, 2. 1, I know you saw that. 1, Saints are going to win out. Remarkably, they're going to win out.
And they're going to miss the playoffs by just a smidgen.
Right. And then as they win Game 8, as they beat Tampa and knock them out.
Man, if we would have just done this or that. Right.
There's going to be more rejoicing on that sideline. It is going to be as if they won a Super Bowl. Yeah. Just like last year. Remember when they won that final game, 7-9?
Yeah.
Next year. Same thing. They're either going to win out, and we're going to see this jovial team leaving the field in 2016.
Yeah.
Or they're going to lose out.
So you got them either going 3-0 or 0-3.
They're not going 2-1 or 1-2. They're going either 3-0 or 0-3.
Can I put that down on my Joel predictions?
What do you want to bet? You want to bet something?
My Joel, am I actually going to get paid off on a bet?
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to bet this bag of Hall's Eucalyptus.
I need like a real bet, like a LeBear's bet.
A LeBear's. Let's bet $50. I'm telling you, it's one or the other. $50, Ron. You in?
$50?
$50. That's a good bet for me.
You sure?
You sure you want this?
Can we do that? That counts. Marty, we got a witness. Marty, give me another. Give me another.
$50.
0-3 or 3-0. I give you 50. Yeah. Anything else you give me?
And
50.
I want to tack on if they go 3-0. Not only do I have to win the 3-0, it's kind of like you ever playing horse and you shoot the basket and you call swish, nothing but net. And even if you make it, but if it hits the rim a little bit, the shot doesn't count. I'm going nothing but net here. You know how I'm going to make it nothing but net? Not only are they going to go 3-0, but the team is going to...
So you got them going 3-0 now. You've jumped off the 0-3.
No, it's either 0-3 or 3-0.
Okay,
but
right.
part of the 3-0 is the rejoicing on the sidelines.
Yeah, that's coming. That's a given.
That is, it's going to be like they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, if they win the next 3, they're putting the Gatorade on Sean and Atlanta and all that stuff.
I'm not going to go Gatorade, but I'm going to go super rejoicing.
Atlanta's, Sean's pumping the fist and all that. Yeah.
Like it was against Williams again.
Yeah.
So I'm going nothing but net on that one. Or 0-3. That's it. $50.
Yeah, I think this is...
Sean Payton needs to go.
Yeah, I'm worried about the 0-3. There's zero chance of the 3-0. But I do think they'll slip up and win one in there somewhere.
Well, with this Will Smith thing behind, a lot of that's a big distraction for this football team. I mean, it's been, believe it or not, in and out of court. I mean, these are
talking
things,
about it, thinking
about it, being asked about it. This has been a distraction.
That was 3 weeks ago. Joel Davis right here back on, that was December the 12th, actually. Saints had 3 games left to be played. You just saw the guy.
Wasn't me, Ron.
It's time to pay. It's time to pay.
Wasn't me.
Right here for the whole world to see. Marty is our witness. You actually made the terms, by the way. We saw back there. You're the one who even threw out the $50.
It was clearly me, but I'm thinking that there might have been some potion in my drink.
You did some cocktails before the taping?
I'm just going to pay you. I'm going to pay you. However, there are.
This is history. Let's mark this in the machine. This in the history of betting.
Is this illegal to do this on TV?
Absolutely.
To lose a bet?
Absolutely.
I mean, do you take checks?
I do, absolutely. Especially if they're more than 50.
I've got $25. I've got $25 in an IOU. However, Marty told me before the show that I left my charger here, and he gave it to you. He gave it to you, and you've never given me my charger.
No, he told
Marty,
me.
Did you not give Ronnie my charger? And have you given me my charger?
It's in the car.
It's in the car.
So when you give me that, you give me the other 25.
I'll tell you what, you just keep the charger.
Yeah, right.
It's like $25 charger.
Oh, God.
That's $25.
Yeah.
I will say this. I don't remember you ever paying me on anything, not even on a cheeseburger deal. And I actually just paid you. You saw that? That took a lot.
Paid me half, guys. We'll take half.
He has my charger. I mean, we know how much chargers are.
Yeah. All right.
Crazy.
So, by the way,
you have my iPad too? I'm missing that as well.
Yeah, the next bet is coming. The next payment he'll be making to me on this will be in May when they have the NFL draft.
Tim Williams.
And the quarterback for Clemson is going to get drafted ahead of Mr. Kelly at Ole Miss. Because on this show,
not the bet. That was not the bet.
It was a bet. I've got that on video. I'm just saying, I've got that on video. We'll have that on. We'll have that. We'll have that back on. You said Chad Kelly would get drafted before the quarterback at Clemson.
Was that before he decided to beat up a kid on the sideline?
Yes, it was in
that before
September.
He snapped his ACL?
It was before the college football season.
There's a lot of factors, and I'm
That's
sure at some point I said, in case
you had a bet. I bet you.
I bet you, Chad Kelly will absolutely get drafted before Deshaun Watson.
You said,
unless
no, you didn't say
he beats up a kid on the sideline and tears his ACL.
There was no unless. A guy who we know this as of we taped this show here on January 2nd. We know this, that Lane Kiffin coached his last game for the Alabama Crimson Tide on New Year's Eve when Alabama put it on the Washington Huskies. Wasn't the prettiest of win for Alabama, but quite frankly, most of the wins this year haven't been beautiful. Alabama's defense is ridiculous. I mean, they literally could play with the Cleveland Browns. I mean, I know we joke about that, but I would love to see this Alabama defense play against the Cleveland Browns offense with their fourth-string quarterback and stuff like that they had to play with for most of the year. I really think that Cleveland week 11, 12 of the season in Alabama in its best would be one hell of a game, and wouldn't be shocked if Alabama hung in there. Now, Cleveland played a little decent the last couple of weeks and got some things going, but Alabama's defense is one of the best in college football history, maybe. Mm-hmm. Offensively, they're not that great. They're winning with a true freshman quarterback.
That's because their defense is so good. It gives them a lot more
But my
opportunities.
point is that you're never supposed to win with a true freshman quarterback.
And they will.
And if they're winning with a true freshman quarterback. People talk about Johnny Manziel. People talk about Florida State. They were redshirt freshmen, by the way. They weren't true freshmen. And so it's very impressive what Alabama's
in high school this time last year.
Yeah, it's very impressive what Alabama's doing. And so they're going to have their moments of ups and downs. And let's face it, they beat LSU by running the football with the quarterback. That's fine. But so they won ugly, and I don't begrudge them. There were a lot of negatives about the fact that Alabama's offense didn't look that good. Whatever. Lane Kiffin, of course, was the brunt of a lot of that because he took the Florida Atlantic job a couple of weeks ago, and now he's doing double duty. Well, a lot of coaches have done that. I mean, Jimbo Fisher did that at the defensive coordinator, Petrino.
I don't know what the hell you're saying.
No, not Bobby Petrino.
Defensive coordinator for
Defensive coordinator for LSU in 07 when they won a national championship, went to Nebraska. Tommy Chrysan's best friend. Anyway, he left LSU. I'm sorry, when they beat.
Bo Pelini.
Bo Pelini. What was it? Was it the Notre Dame game or was it the national championship? I don't know. Pelini, coach. No, Fisher was after the Notre Dame game. He left.
You're killing
and then
yourself
Petrino the next year.
Right.
Whatever it was. Pelini. Anyway, it's been done many times. It happened last year. Kirby Smart won a national championship, even though he gave up 40 points in the finals, and then he went to Georgia.
Boy, he's had
a lot of people have done the deal. The bottom line is Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban, they just don't get along. And I don't blame him. Nick Saban doesn't get along with a lot of people. He's burnt out a lot of assistant coaches. But where Lane Kiffin differs now is that when he got the Florida Atlantic job, he's been flippant with the media. He had an interview with a Sports Illustrated writer who rode along with him while he was looking for a home in Boca Raton, Florida. And he answered some questions candidly. One of them being, what was the last 3 years like, of coaching with Nick Saban? And he said it was like 21 years in dog years. It was just very tough.
But see, that just shows a lot about his character, Ron.
And so
he can't just be professional.
Right.
That he can't just move on, say the right things, and be professional.
Yeah, say
this
learn
is what
so
you're
much,
getting.
blah, blah, blah.
He hasn't learned anything. He's the same guy he was before Nick Saban.
Snarky.
He's snarky, and I deserve this. I don't need to earn anything. I deserve it. And I just think he has a character flaw in his personality, and he just can't be professional. And you're lucky, LSU, that you didn't get this guy as your offensive coordinator. And you know what amazes me is to think that Ed Ogeron and this guy are friends. Ed Ogeron just seems so different. Like, I can't see that guy putting up with that guy. You know what I'm saying?
But Ed Ogeron's one of those guys that gets along with everybody, likes to have a good time, joke, laugh.
I understand that, but to hang out with that guy?
I don't know if they but they coach together. They were in the trenches. I think they spent a lot of time as assistants together. They road trip together.
One's on offense, one's on defense, man. All I'm saying is I just see a totally different character. I see a fun-loving guy in Ed Ogeron. Don't get me wrong. But Ed Ogeron looks like he came from the old school. He just looks like he came up the old school way.
But Ed Ogeron was a wild and crazy guy back in the day. He's not anymore.
I'm not saying that.
But he was a party boy like Lane was.
I'm not talking about partying. Everybody
can
party. Ed Ogeron reminds me of the guy that just kind of came up the tough way, earned it.
But
Lane Kiffin reminds me of the snarky young guy that didn't earn it.
We all have those friends that we were friends with at a time and place where we were a little more on the same level, and we were maybe wild and crazy and young and this, that, and the other. And some of those friends fade by the wayside and you lose touch. Others you still maintain that friendship with because you connected at a time and place that was meaningful in your life. You may not necessarily have the same bond, but that history has carried over. I mean, we've all got friends like that. You do, and I do too. You look back and you go, I necessarily don't know that I would have him over to barbecue at my house with my family, but I consider him a friend. And I think that's Lane Kiffin. Keep him away from your wife and your daughter. But he's still a friend because they shared a time and a place for a long time
I've
together.
got friends that I can't even talk to anymore. I mean, it's just...
Your wife shut you down?
No, it's nothing to do with it. I don't want to talk to them anymore, even though they're my friends.
Right.
Like, I don't mind texting.
But that's it. That's the distance.
I don't even want to pick up the phone.
Yeah. Well, Lane Kiffin, obviously, offensively, Alabama didn't use its month to get ready for that game against Washington and put on their best foot forward. And there probably was some distraction, no doubt about it, that Lane Kiffin's all, so they're going to promote, Alabama's going to promote Steve Sarkisian to be the offensive coordinator, which he was going to be next year anyway. They're just going to do it a game early. Nick Saban and Lane are saying this is what was best for the program. There was some distractions. It was harder for him to manage his time than he thought, and they're going their separate ways. There's no doubt that in my mind, Nick Saban was pissed when he found out about the article and some of the things, the flippant comments, and oh, by the way, Lane Kiffin missed a team bus again at one of the media days.
Unprofessional.
Which meant it's more about me. Because he's doing interviews talking about him and his career and at Florida Atlantic and blah, 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 and he can't be respectful enough to the coaches and the players. It's all about him, so he misses the bus, and then people are writing about him missing the bus again. And so I think Nick Saban's like, you know what? It is about me. I'm the head coach. This is my team. You guys are just the minions, and that's how he looks at it. And there's no doubt that if you're an assistant coach with Nick Saban, you're going to be frustrated with maybe your voices are going to get heard as much as you'd like, but so be it. The guy's the best college football coach in the world, and probably the best of all time. And I'll give you one last thing. Ernie Accorsi, the longtime general manager for the New York Giants, won a number of Super Bowls, put together those great teams for years and years and years. I saw him at the Super Bowl in Tampa when the Ravens and the Giants played. Remember the Giants went to the Super Bowl with Kerry Collins at quarterback. I mean, that's how good they were. And they played the Ravens, who Trent Dilfer. Might have been the battle of the two worst quarterbacks ever in a Super Bowl.
But the Giants had Jason Sehorn.
That's right. That's right. So those two played against each other in Tampa in 2001. And Ernie, and this was right after Nick Saban's first year at LSU. And I was talking to Ernie Accorsi, and he said, "How's my boy doing down there at LSU?" Nick Saban. He said, "Man, he's a great coach. I tried to hire him a few times. Couldn't get him. Wasn't the right time, place, whatever." He says, I said, "Man, he did really good year one. We really like him." He said, "Well, how many assistant coaches and secretaries has he run off already?"
Oh, yeah.
And it was literally, this is like the last week of January of 2001. Season had just ended a couple of weeks earlier for LSU. And that week, like 2 assistant coaches had left and a secretary had left. And I said, "Funny you should say that. You know, he's already lost like 3 staff members this week." And he goes, "He's going to burn through assistant coaches. He's going to burn through secretaries. He's super demanding, super tough to work for, but he's a great coach."
Yeah.
And that's what you get. If you're Lane Kiffin, you spent your 3 years with them. You look behind the curtain. You hopefully learn some things. You say all kind of nice things about them, and you move on and you go, "Whew." It's like putting in your dues in the military or something like that, or becoming a doctor where you got to go be an intern for a few years before you make the real money. That's what it was like for Lane Kiffin, but you get the feeling he didn't appreciate it or understand, or at least publicly hasn't appreciated as much as he should.
Well, I mean, it just tells you, how can you walk out a week away from getting a ring? I mean, you're on the cusp of getting the back-to-back championships, and I think that says a lot about that relationship there. It says a lot about Lane Kiffin and him not wanting to, I don't know, be part of this and be part of, just not putting up with it for another week. You know, you mentioned Lane Kiffin being in the news. You mentioned Nick Saban saying it is about me. Well, now it's about Steve Sarkisian. And now Steve Sarkisian's in the news. Every day, you know, well, I'm looking on, since Alabama played, I got to see on Twitter Steve Sarkisian eating his own boogers. I mean, this is disgusting,
That's disgusting.
Ron. It is disgusting. I mean, how does a grown man pick his nose on national TV? You know, Jim Moore used to do it all the time. Jim Moore, every time the camera came Jim Moore's way, the camera would get on him and he'd be picking his nose. And I remember my mom saying, "Why is that man always picking his nose?" And he did, but he never ate it, Ron. He never ate the booger. But Steve Sarkisian is I mean, I'd be so embarrassed.
He's a booger eater. It's all over YouTube.
It's unbelievable. That dude
is that championship game this weekend?
Yeah, they're going to have a camera on that dude. Now it's about Steve Sarkisian, and will he eat another booger? What do you think the over/under is on him eating another booger?
He's never eating another booger again. Trust me.
You're never eating another booger?
He's not. No, I haven't eaten a booger since I was like 8.
You ate a booger?
I think when I was 8, 7, 6.
I'll be honest with you, I've never eaten a booger, dude.
Oh, please.
Never in freaking life.
What?
It's a freaking booger, dude.
You never, when you were 5, ate a booger.
No, man. No, man.
I don't believe that for a second.
I swear to God, I have never in my life. Steve Sarkisian's like 50, bro. 50. Chowing, man. Chowing.
That was
you know
gross.
what a booger is?
Dry snot. That's what a booger is.
It's a combination.
Are you going to really talk to us about this any longer?
I just want to let you know how disgusting it is. It's Alabama, Ron.
It is gross.
It's Ala-freaking-Bama. They don't do that here in Baton Rouge.
I think Alabama's trying to downplay what a big distraction. Here's why it's a big distraction. Because that's all anyone's going to talk about.
The booger?
For the next 8 days or whatever it is. They're going to only talk about the offensive coordinator change, media, to the players, players and their families on the street when they get to the national championship
game in Tampa. How are you
going
to change things up? Will things be different? Are they going to run the same plays? That's all you're going to hear.
Yeah, and Steve Sarkisian hasn't called plays at Alabama. He's been in meetings. He's had broken down film and stuff, but he hasn't been in the ear of a freshman quarterback.
I'm going to tell you right now. You know how at the Super Bowl they always have those corny reporters that ask questions? They always from like the late show.
Yeah, like the media day, right?
I guarantee you, bro. Somebody's going to ask about that freaking booger.
Yeah.
Somebody from like the late show.
Can you let it go?
It's news, man.
It's not.
How is it not?
It's not.
You didn't see the video, then?
Yeah, I did see the video on YouTube. It's disgusting. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, I promise, if you join us back on the other side of this commercial,
nobody's watching this
we
show.
will not have any more booger talk. I can guarantee you. Or we'll take his mic off of his Doug Flutie jersey. Show the back of the jersey again. Well, really, we want to see the back of that hair. That's Perm 1984 right there. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more Sports Shorts right after this.
Furniture Company is your furniture destination for timeless designs handcrafted by artisans from around the globe. Wooden Haven Furniture Company has furniture that can change or just accent your world at home. Wooden Haven Furniture Company.
When it comes to you or a loved one facing a long-term stay in a hospital, there are other long-term acute care hospitals, and then there is AMG Specialty Hospital. AMG Specialty Hospital is a long-term acute care hospital known as a LTAC. We are designed to give care to patients who require an extended hospital stay. AMG Specialty Hospital focuses on putting our patients first, which is why 90% of our specialty hospital patients and their families would recommend us to others. Other LTACs will care for you. AMG Specialty Hospital will care about you. AMG is committed to delivering quality health care to our patients within the communities we serve. Go ahead, ask your doctor which LTAC hospital they would trust most for their own loved ones. If you're looking for a pretty hospital, they're out there. But if you're looking for the best long-term acute care hospital with great patient care, AMG is proudly serving 8 locations in Louisiana and 7 other locations within the United States. So when the best care is as close as this, there's absolutely no reason to go to any LTAC other than AMG's healthcare management for complex medical needs.
You know, if you're a football gambler like I am and you enjoy putting a little wager on a college game or a pro game, this was an interesting bowl season. And as we tape here on January the 2nd, one of the better games is being played, and we don't know the outcome because we're actually taping during the middle of it, but Penn State is in a track meet up 42-35 at the moment, halfway through or a little more than halfway through the third quarter.
A lot of people pulling for Penn State.
Over USA. Yeah.
They got jobs.
Because Penn State won the Big Ten, beat Ohio State, didn't get to go into the Final Four, and then Ohio State went and embarrassed their maker, their family, their girlfriend. Urban Meyer, first time shutout in his career. I mean, just pistol whipped. I mean, I could not believe what I saw with Clemson beating Ohio State the way they did. I thought Clemson would win the game, but I thought it was going to be close.
Right. But that was one of the better games I saw Deshaun Jackson
Penn
play.
State, what they're doing today is going to put them in the ranking top 3 for next year, and they're going to be one of the pick to win probably to win the Big Ten. They get their quarterback coming back, their running back coming. Mm-hmm. They're going to be one of the teams to beat next year. To be a favorite or a contender for the playoffs. Alabama will be the other for sure, and then USC is going to be another because they've got their young quarterback.
Alabama's going to take a big hit in this year in the NFL. I mean, they do it every year.
On the defensive side.
But look, on the defensive side of the football, they are going to take a tremendous hit at all levels of that defense. Up front, 2 defensive tackles. I mean, a defensive tackle, a defensive end, 2 linebackers, 3 guys in the secondary are probably going to go pro. I mean, that's a lot of turnover for that football team. LSU could benefit from that, obviously, but Alabama just seems to be reloading year in and year out. But Penn State got jobs so badly. But I will say this. I'm not sure Penn State would have beaten Clemson that night. Clemson played lights out versus Ohio State. Ohio State is obviously not as good as Penn State, but Clemson, Deshaun Watson, Mike Williams. By the way, I would never draft a wide receiver named Mike Williams. I mean, isn't it just how convenient is this guy's name?
Never works out.
It never works out. This guy's another top 10 wide receiver named Mike Williams. The other ones have not worked out. USC, you name them. Texas, well, he was okay, but he was not great. And there was another Mike Williams that went to Detroit.
Right.
So Mike Williams, even though this guy is a stud at Clemson, those two guys were on a great field last night, playing together the other night. And look, I thought that was the best game I've seen Deshaun Watson play. And I've seen a bunch of Clemson games. He was just money, man. He was great with throwing the football. He was accurate down the field. His running ability, he just looked completely healthy. And I think he actually helped his draft stock, believe it or not. But he has to play good. He has to play that well against Alabama to have a shot.
Let me give one little piece of gambling advice for the folks that want to have a little tip for 2017. And if you're a gambler, you always want a tip. There's a guy by the name of Jimmy Ott who, if you've been watching Pelican Broadcasting for a number of years, had a show back in the day. It was short-lived. I mean, it was about 6 weeks. It was called Lock of the Week. I don't know, maybe made it 10 weeks. I don't remember. This is a long time ago. 8 years ago? 9 years ago? Yeah. And it was great animation, had the little vault would open up and all that. Unfortunately, the problem was he had about a 15% pick per average. It was horrific. Basically, everything that could go wrong as a picking guy went wrong. And he just got on a roll and had to pull the plug on the show because you can't make predictions and be wrong all the time.
But what if you kind of went
unless you got a guy that does it with you?
You could have done it in a humorous way instead of just go in the opposite direction.
Well, when you're supposed to be the expert, it didn't work out as humorous. But Jimmy, God bless him. He's been in the TV radio business for a long, long time and does a good job on his show with Guaranty Broadcasting with Charles Hannegriff. And he had a little nugget he threw out a few weeks ago. I just happened to catch it. Was tuning in on ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge, and he said, always take the dog before New Year's. Mm-hmm. Always bet the dog in the bowl games before New Year's. So I hear this piece of advice. I go about my day, and so all of a sudden the bowl games start to come around. I make a few wagers, and some go well, some don't. And then I remembered, Jimmy said, always take the dogs before New Year's. And I noticed a lot of the dogs were playing well early on. So I start, for the last week before New Year's, betting all the dogs, even if I believed it or not. I'm going with the Jimmy Ott plan. Bet the dogs before New Year's. I mean, I'm hitting, I'm going to the window in Vegas and I'm handing them my money and I'm going, I don't really think this is going to happen, but I'm going with the system, betting the dogs. Sure enough, Jimmy Ott was right. This was the year of the dogs. I'm going to do the math before next show, wait till the whole bowl season's over with and pull up the dogs and see how they did. But I'm telling you, before New Year's, the dogs covered at least 75% of the time, if not more than that.
Wow.
And I'll just give you a couple dogs just off, the Raging Cajuns covered, even they were awful on defense. I mean, on offense. Anthony Jennings was terrible, but they covered. But
You bet that game?
Yeah. I mean, every game.
Disease.
But I'll give you one that is just the most incredible dog one ever, in my opinion. Even though wasn't the biggest dog, but the Minnesota Golden Gophers. When I tell you about Minnesota Golden Gopher football in mid-December, what comes to mind? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Cold?
No, but I mean, like just a couple of weeks ago. Anything come to mind?
Minnesota Golden Gophers.
How about the fact that the team stood in front of the media and said, we're not playing in the bowl game because of the 10 players that were suspended due to the sexual investigation that happened prior to the season and all that. The players were cleared to play the season. But then all of a sudden, when they got to December, the school said, we're going to not allow these 10 players to be eligible, and the team boycotted. Went in front of the media, said, we're not practicing, we're not playing in the bowl game, we're done until further action. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, they meet with the president. Supposedly the players were able to look over some internal reports that weren't made public. They came back out and said, we will continue our bowl preparation. Now, those 10 players didn't play in the bowl game. 3 starting defensive backs and 3 backup defensive backs. So basically, Minnesota, who's distracted with this scandal, being asked questions, didn't even practice for 3 days, all of this stuff. Playing without 10 players, 3 starters on defense, are going to go on the road to San Diego and take on Washington State and Mike Leach, who's coming off of one of their best years they've ever had. And what does Washington State do so well?
To throw the football?
Throw the football a lot. I mean, they're the Hal Mummy system.
Leach.
They throw the ball 50, 60 times a game, right? And they're having a great year. They'd won 7, 8 in a row. That was a record at Washington State. They were in contention for the Rose Bowl to the last 2 weeks of the season. Their defense is much improved, all that. They're Washington State, who throws the ball all around, going against a defensive secondary that's got you and me playing in the defensive back. Third stringers, walk-ons, guys that are pulling the red shirt off or having now to play. This isn't going to be close. Minnesota wipes the floor with Washington State. Absolutely shuts them down. These no-name defensive backs smother Washington State and hold them to like their lowest outing in a while. They win the game. It was absolutely incredible. One of the most.
You know why, Ron?
And I bet it like this. Jimmy Ott said, "Take the dog before New Year's. I'm gonna do it." And I won.
I mean, it's such a psychological game. You got to think what Washington State was thinking that whole time. Their players are thinking, "Oh man, that's a dumpster fire over there." It's a distraction for them. I mean, maybe they don't prepare as hard, thinking that we're gonna wipe the floor with the same mentality that you're thinking. These guys are not thinking about football; they're not practicing, so their minds are not where they need to be, and it showed. I mean, that's clearly what happened because Washington State's the better football team, but preparation is really important when it comes to football.
You know, Minnesota has a nice defense. I mean, that's what they were known for this year, and they had a nice team, and they were bowl eligible, and they played well this year. But they're not they're not the best defense in the Big Ten. What it gave me a little glimmer on, was this is a middle of the pack Big Ten team that beat one of the better Pac-12 teams or Pac-10 teams, whatever, Pac-12 now. A team at Washington State was right there in contention. You know, they beat Washington. They're playing in the championship game, in the Big 12 in the Pac-12 championship game, and so my point is that I said, you know what, Penn State is going to play USC a lot better than people think, because Penn State is your Big Ten champion. They beat Ohio State. They came from behind against Wisconsin.
They sure did.
This is a team that's getting better, but in a tougher conference. We saw Washington go get mauled against an Alabama team that kind of went through the motions, and that was, your champion. So I felt like Penn State would have a chance against USC, and so far they do. We're going to take a timeout. We're running late on a break. We'll take a break. We come back more with Joel Davis and Ronnie Rantz from LeBaire Studios right after this.
Attention, Ascension, the stick has come to the Ville. Red Stick Sports has opened in Prairieville, in the former Tiger Bait Sports location on Airline Highway, across the street from Frank's, next door to Abear Guns. And with that comes team uniforms and equipment you've been wanting. All the names are here too: Nike, Russell, Under Armour, Wilson, Mizuno, Adidas, Easton, Rawlings, Marucci, and Louisville Slugger. All you need to succeed awaits you at the new Red Stick Sports in Prairieville.
Wooden Haven Furniture Company is your furniture destination for timeless designs handcrafted by artisans from around the globe. Wooden Haven Furniture Company has furniture that can change or just accent your world at home. Wooden Haven Furniture Company.
When it comes to you or a loved one facing a long-term stay in a hospital, there are other long-term acute care hospitals, and then there is AMG Specialty Hospital. AMG Specialty Hospital is a long-term acute care hospital known as a LTAC. We are designed to give care to patients who require an extended hospital stay. AMG Specialty Hospital focuses on putting our patients first, which is why 90% of our specialty hospital patients and their families would recommend us to others. Other LTACs will care for you. AMG Specialty Hospital will care about you. AMG is committed to delivering quality health care to our patients within the communities we serve. Go ahead, ask your doctor which LTAC hospital they would trust most for their own loved ones. If you're looking for a pretty hospital, they're out there. But if you're looking for the best long-term acute care hospital with great patient care, AMG is proudly serving 8 locations in Louisiana and 7 other locations within the United States. So when the best care is as close as this, there's absolutely no reason to go to any LTAC other than AMG's healthcare management for complex medical needs.
Welcome back, everybody. Ronnie Rantz, Joel Davis here in the LeBears Studios in Baton Rouge. Man, what a party it was at LeBears for New Year's Eve. It was the best place to be, and I urge you next year, unless you got some kind of little private party at your house or something, you're looking for something to do, go to the New Year's Eve events at LeBears. Most of them are absolutely free. There was one event, it was $30 a person upstairs, all you could drink.
Well, the fact that it was raining uncontrollably outside, that was probably, I can believe that would have been a great place to be.
Yeah.
I was asleep by 9:45.
Yeah, there were 1,800 people up in the event center for the antiques and concert, brought in the new year with confetti and all that, open bar. It was just a great time. They had Press One for English playing, free concert downstairs about in front of the casino. They had DJ Go and Edge, and all the restaurants were packed. It was a really good time, and everybody had a great time, and just brought in 2017 the right way. A lot going on.
Did you wear your red jacket?
No, I went tuxedo.
No,
tuxedo.
Okay.
Tuxedo. I was hosting some MC duties and all that.
Gotcha.
We had the Neil Diamond tribute band called Super Diamond.
Yeah.
Flew them in.
Fantastic.
They came in, did a VIP dinner earlier that night. Unbelievable. I'm a huge Neil Diamond fan. He's actually coming May 4th to the New Orleans Arena. I'll be there. If he's alive by then, hang in there, Neil. But he is fantastic. Super Diamonds probably sings better than Neil does at this stage in his life. But the concert's amazing, and there's so many people that aren't big Neil Diamond fans.
What does a guy like that make a year?
Neil Diamond?
No, not Neil Diamond. The other guy.
Super Diamond?
What do you think a guy like that makes?
Super Diamond's been around 24 years. They've toured all over North America. They've actually been on the David Letterman show once. They've sung with Neil Diamond on 2 different occasions. He's joined them on stage. They're the kind of like the number one. They're the number one best.
Right.
There's other tribute bands, I'm sure, that do Neil Diamond, but they're the best. They've done House of Blues. I've seen them at other gigs and stuff.
It's a full band. It's an ensemble.
Oh yeah. It's 5-6 pieces, whatever.
Gotcha.
I would say that you're looking at they're depending on what all they gig. I mean, if they gigging twice a week or something
gigging once a week. Just gigging once a week.
50 gigs a week. 50 gigs. They did 2. They did one in New Orleans and they did here. We booked them at Boomtown on Friday night. They're probably making 100 gigs a month, gigs a year, maybe something like that. They're a high-end ticket band.
I mean, these guys making $100,000 each a year?
Oh no. $100,000 each? No.
So they all have like real jobs.
Well, some do, some don't. Some are musicians that are living on their, $60,000 or $50,000, and then others are making, depending on the founders, making more. The booking guy, who the first, the main guy in the band who put it together, he's probably making a little more.
The singer's the main guy. The Neil Diamond. He's Neil Diamond.
Yeah. But they were great. Super Diamonds. Check them out wherever you find them around the country. They're all over. They're great.
You wish you did that for a living, don't you?
Absolutely. If I could make half the money in my life and I could go be like a lead singer for the, Super Diamond, yeah, I would do that.
Now, if you could be a tribute band to someone, I have to believe that you would have to be, I don't know, like Diana Ross or something. Like you would love to be like Diana Ross. That would be like your thing. Who would you
Lionel
want?
Richie.
Lionel Richie.
I would be Lionel Richie.
Hello.
White Lionel.
Is it you?
I'd start the show off as a Commodores, kind of like with all the crazy, Earth, Wind, and Fire looking get up. I'd go with that. Fake afro.
Big tall boots like.
And then I'd make my way into the 80s. Afro would get smaller, and then I would start going into the solo Lionel.
Really?
And then we transition late 80s, a little dancing on the ceiling.
That's actually very well set up the way you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're going from decade to decade.
Yeah, the clothes get a little more normal. Then by the end of the show, we're tuxedo. We're tuxedo. But Lionel Richie and Mariah Carey, by the way, are coming to the New Orleans Arena in a few months.
Mariah Carey,
Mariah Carey,
the one that was
opening up for him.
The one that just got
walked off stage.
The worst.
What happened? She didn't like the sound, or something was wrong.
She was
on New Year's Eve.
She was going to lip sync. It was set up to lip sync, and she was going to kind of sing over it.
Gotcha.
The mic was on, but she's singing over herself.
Gotcha.
She apparently couldn't hear.
Yeah.
She couldn't hear, so the voice track just kept going, and she just.
This is ridiculous. See ya.
See, I'm out. I'm too good for this.
Yeah.
I don't think she cared. One way. Yeah. I mean, let my publicist handle it.
That fee you were going to give me for doing the one song on New Year's Eve, whatever.
Absolutely.
It ain't worth it.
That dress. Let me tell you something. She was decked out.
Yeah, I'm a huge Mariah Carey fan. I know she's a diva and all. I don't have to deal with her. I don't care.
Right.
Just sing when whatever.
Sing. She's a good singer.
But anyway, that's what that was going on New Year's Eve, and La Bears, they got all kinds of stuff. Travis Tritt concert coming up in a couple weeks. That's sold out, but they've got Molly Ringwalds, they got the Bag of Donuts, they got all kind of things. Check it out. And then Pointer Sisters, Jump for Your Love is in February. They got Ben Folds coming in there in March. All kind of good stuff. Check it out on the download the app, the La Bears Baton Rouge app on your phone for free. You can buy tickets, everything you need right there. Let's talk some New Orleans Saints here for a minute. I was hoping you would do that. Some New Orleans Saints. We talked about Saints earlier about the prediction, and now you were wrong on that. But Saints finished 7-9. They're going to pick 11 overall. But all anybody wants to talk about since the season ended, and even the last couple weeks of the season, is all these reports that, just like we heard last year, that Sean Payton is possibly going to be traded to whether it be the Rams or maybe the Chargers. They have an opening. Chargers are basically going to be the Rams. They're going to be playing in the same stadium. It's not official, but it's going to be. Or somewhere else, for that matter. But L.A. seems to be the logical destination because you've got Jared Goff, a rookie quarterback, picked first overall, who going into his second season. You can put Sean Payton with them. You can partner those guys up for the next 5-6 years, and you can see what he was able to do with Drew Brees. They figure he can do the same thing with Jared Goff. How much of this, in your opinion, is just pure speculation? How much is real?
I think that where there's smoke, there's fire. I really believe that. I mean, the Saints are paying him $9 million. $9. And I think that, honestly, that the Saints don't feel like they're getting their money's worth. So I think that if someone offered them enough, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't you want to get that off the books? You're paying an employee more than anybody else in the league. He is the highest paid coach in the league. And are you getting your money's worth?
Okay,
You're not.
Before you continue that thought, my only thing is, it's always the Les Miles thing that I've always said for years. You get little less, who you going to get?
Okay.
And so my thing is, if you get rid of Sean Payton,
what have they gotten?
Who do you get?
But what have they gotten?
So you're saying that anybody can go in there and go 7-9 with Drew Brees?
With Drew Brees, of course. Drew Brees. You think Sean Payton is this? I would love to see what his record would be. He's 7-9 with Drew Brees. I would love to see what his record would be with Garrett Grayson, right, or
Osweiler.
Anybody.
They're wanting to fire O'Brien in Texas.
Correct. This guy's in the playoffs.
He's in the playoffs with that goofball at quarterback.
Playing quarterback.
No, he had Osweiler. Now he's got Sarge or whatever.
Savage.
Savage. He might have Osweiler again.
He'll be out
Savage
quickly.
Is hurt. But the point is, they're going to beat the Raiders. They got the Raiders, the second or third string
at home.
I think Texans are going to win that game. I'm going to bet them. Which means
I like O'Brien. I think he's a good coach.
But my point is that O'Brien is getting heat for winning the division with a bust at quarterback that they're now married to for a while. That's the only negative. But he's going to win a playoff game, and I think then the Heat will beat off it. But if he even loses to Oakland in 9-6, which that game's going to be 9-6, then, I still think he's a good coach.
I think he's a great coach. I think he's very good at what he's bringing a winning formula. And Sean Payton has forgotten how to win. He doesn't know how to. You have a defense that is freaking terrible. So you have to adjust the way you think. You can't go out and throw the ball around the football field. You have to maximize every possession.
35 points they gave up to Atlanta in the first half. 35.
Dude, it was atrocious. It was so hard to watch. Like this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm spending my Sunday. This is pathetic. I mean, those guys could care. Atlanta steamrolled them. That looked like the 2011 Saints. It really did. That's what they had in 2011. They're so far from that, Ronnie. This team is so far. But my point is Sean Payton knows what kind of defense he has. He knows they're terrible. He knows they're decimated with injuries. So why not try to change something on your end, on the offensive? Don't let Drew Brees throw the ball 60 times. Are you telling me that's the only way you can win is Drew Brees? Then you're not the answer. Your job is to find a way to win football games with a Hall of Fame quarterback, and that is to make him a threat. Make him a threat to throw the football. Establish the running game, control the clock, maintain possession, steal a possession here and there defensively, but you have to win the game with your offense, and by slinging the ball around and not chewing up the clock. And even when he could not find a formula to win, Ron, the last 3 years with a Hall of Fame quarterback. And to me, you have to get rid of him. I think if they could find a way to trade him, I say you do it. Give him one more year. I'm fine with one more year. I actually am. But I would not be at all upset.
But your window of opportunity
is 1 year. It's 1 year.
Yeah, but this makes perfect sense. Like if you're the Rams and you really believe that you want a quarterback whisperer. I mean, that's whoever the Rams get, they're going offense.
But how do we know Sean Payton is even a quarterback whisperer? He couldn't whisper to Garrett Grayson.
But he whispered to Drew Brees.
Drew Brees
was a nice. If you look at Drew Brees' numbers, he wasn't the quarterback with the Saints that he was with the
year. He had a very good year in his second year.
But I did this over the holidays.
Do it.
But what I'm saying is that there's no doubt that Drew Brees and Sean Payton are a great combination.
What do you think? I mean, do all quarterbacks just come in and just dominate right off the bat? I mean, there's not that many Tom Bradys out there. I mean, Tom Brady has had a defense his entire career. His entire career, his coach has given him a defense to be successful. And not to mention, between Miami, the Jets, and the Bills, that's what the Patriots have had to deal with year in and year out. What other quarterbacks have been in that league to compete with Tom Brady? Nobody.
Here's my question: if you get rid of Sean Payton,
you want to go through the list?
Which, by the way, who's going to make that call?
I think Mickey Loomis. Mickey Loomis's job is to.
Hey, may I speak to Tom, please? Yeah, I'll wait. When's the sponge bath going to get done? Okay. All right. Well, just tell him. I'll wait. I'll hold. Thanks, Maria. Appreciate it. All right.
Sponge bath.
He said sponge bath. Oh. Hey, Tom. I'm sorry to bother you. It was, yeah, I know. I always like the nether regions as well. But listen, here's my question is, can we trade Sean Payton?
How much does he cost?
Sean.
How much does he cost?
Yeah. No. Jim's not Jim Moore. Sean Payton.
I know who Sean is. How much? How much does he cost?
Can we trade Sean Payton? We're paying him $9 million a year. You didn't know that? You signed off on that years ago. 9. I know that's ridiculous. Okay, well, can we trade him? We're going to get... Okay. All right, go back to your bath. Thanks. Well, I'll take care of it. I'll just let you know what we do. Thanks. Bye.
What'd he say?
He said, I don't care what we do. We're not paying him $9 million anymore.
I thought you were going to say he said this. Because that's what you're insinuating.
My point is that there's not anybody to pull the strings on something like this.
Mickey Loomis
has to do this deal on his own. And this is where the lack of ownership
But isn't that his job?
The owners and all agreed to the $9 million.
I'm going to tell you right now, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think that if somebody
I'm not trading him if Drew Brees doesn't want me to trade him. If Drew Brees is okay with trading Sean Payton, then I'm okay with it. But if Drew Brees says...
Drew Brees should be okay with trading because he's given you nothing
I know
defensively.
that, but I am absolutely including Drew Brees in that conversation. I'm talking to one guy if I'm Mickey Loomis, and that's Drew Brees.
I'm not talking to Drew Brees. Drew Brees, you're great. You're a Hall of Fame quarterback. But this guy has gotten you to the Super Bowl. He's gotten you to 2 championship games. NFC championships, 2 in the 11 years you've been here. 10 years under Sean Payton.
Okay, you get rid of Sean Payton. Can you say, I'm just going to do it. I know this is silly. I'm going to laugh saying it. Can you say, all right, John Gruden, here's the deal.
No.
2 years, you come out, you coach us for 2 years because you're going to go with Drew Brees, and he can do everything you want to do.
He's so removed from the game.
Just saying.
He's so removed from the game.
Just saying.
I don't know if he can come back.
Name, that name's going to get thrown out. I
think that's a stupid name. I think that the 2 names that I would like to see, what's wrong with Kyle Shanahan? What did he just do with Atlanta? Look what he's doing with Atlanta. Isn't that Sean Payton? Isn't that what Sean Payton did? It's a great formula to win. Light people up and have just enough defense to put... See, the Saints don't have the second part of lighting you up, getting after another team. They can't get after them. They can't get after them and put pressure. There was no pressure on Matt Ryan. He just sat back there and picked them apart. Kyle Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, is he not ready to call? Can't he just come over and call plays like Sean Payton and then have somebody else buy the groceries? Because Sean Payton is grocery shopping.
So who's the defense? Who's the head coach, though? You mentioned an offensive coordinator.
No, I'm thinking that's your head coach.
You mean Kyle Shanahan's offensive
coordinator. Or Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels in New England, who's been under Bill Belichick, who's worked with Tom Brady, who's worked with a Hall of Fame quarterback. Can he not come in? He did okay in Denver. He made a mistake with Tim too, but would still won a playoff game with the guy that couldn't even play in football. So he's hopefully learned from his mistakes. He's older, more mature. Josh McDaniels, give him an opportunity to. You don't think he would want to come in and coach Drew Brees right now? Hell yes. What about Matt Patricia, defensive coordinator under the Patriots? Anybody under Bill Belichick that's had some success with moving parts, losing players, and putting people back in there, I think you got to take a hard look at. Those are 3 guys right there that I would not be upset with.
Let me throw out one scenario. If you were the New Orleans Saints, would you ask Nick Saban? If he wins another national championship, he's won 6. He's tied Bear Bryant.
I'd absolutely would.
He's done everything he can do. You say, Nick, give it one last year. We sign you into a 4-year contract.
I'd take him in a heartbeat.
Give you $8 million a year.
He was that close in Miami, Ron.
You got a quarterback who you could do a do-over again. You passed on Drew back in the day.
He'd still be in the NFL if he got Drew in Miami. Let me tell you something. Sean, Nick Saban was this close to being successful.
He probably learned.
How old is he now?
Coach Ogeron. We give Coach Ogeron credit for learning from his mistakes 10 years ago. You got to know Nick Saban's learned from his mistakes in the NFL the first time.
How old is he now?
Mid-60s. Mid-60s.
But, just come in and do it for 5 or 6 years.
He's Joel Davis. Don't be confused. That is not Doug Flutie, although they are similar in age. And he's got the hair like Doug did back in '84. I'm Ronnie Rantz. Have a happy new year, everybody. We'll see you next week. We'll talk some more NFL playoffs.
Friends, family, and community in surrounding parishes who have lost vehicles due to the flood. North American Auto Group is here to help. We have discounted over 400 pre-owned vehicles with no water damage. In addition, we have lenders offering disaster relief financing programs. We will also help you with your insurance and GAP claims. Shop online at NorthAmericanAutoGroup.com or visit us at one of our 4 locations in Baton Rouge and Gonzales. North American Auto Group. We make it easy.